The 15 fattest dogs in the entire world. Dennis, the 56-pound Dachshund. One of the first of several Dachshunds that will make this list, Dennis was once sustained by a diet of burgers and pizza. Previously weighing 56 pounds, by adopting a life focused on fitness and exercise, he has managed to become a happy and healthy dog. A far cry from the life he'd previously known, one in which he could barely move and spent his days resting on rolls of fat. He can now move around without even breaking a sweat. Still, his body skin had stretched so much at his previous size that he couldn't do it all without the help of a surgeon who needed to cut his skin away on 3 occasions. 14. Tighty, the 14-pound Chihuahua. Part of a group of overweight animals that were placed into a weight loss boot camp by their owners, Tighty isn't nearly as big as the other dogs you are about to read about in this list, but he is certainly huge for his breed. Tipping the scales at 14 pounds, he is an awe-inspiring 4 times larger than the weight that his breed should normally target. We are going to restate that one more time to make sure that it sinks in. He has managed to gain enough weight that he is 4 times larger than he should be. If his breed weren't so small, to begin with, a figure like that could have easily earned him the top spot on this list. 13. Alfie, the 175-pound Labrador. A dog that once weighed as much as 175 pounds, Alfie has been fittingly described as a giant in articles looking at his special story. Requiring 4 people to lift him so he could receive treatment, the manager of the facility taking care of him described him as just a massive blob, with a leg at each corner. While that does seem that harsh, considering he is a living being, the evocative nature of the description speaks perfectly to how out of control his weight became at that point. Described as Britain's fattest dog, he was 3 times the normal weight his breed should normally be. Thank goodness dogs don't feel self-conscious about the way they look, cause Alfie would likely be a little shy about his looks. 12. Cielo, the 112-pound American Bulldog. Coming in at number 12 is Cielo. Cielo the American Bulldog is another member of the boot camp group that the previously mentioned Tighty the Chihuahua belongs to and managed to bowl us over more than even his fellow participants. She may not be as overweight as the aforementioned Tighty, from a percentage perspective, but when you look at the picture above, she looks just a little bit worse. Said to have lived on a diet consisting of pasta and biscuits, which is far from the meals any vet would advise for a dog, she ended up weighing around 112 pounds, which is far more than she ever should. We even feel a little bad for Cielo. 11. Barney, the 154-pound Dalmatian. It is probably because we will always associate Dalmatians with firefighters and Cruella de Vil, but this breed of dog seems heroic and particularly worthy of protection. That is why we are happy to report that Barney was taken away from his previous caregiver, and according to reports that person was banned from keeping pets for 10 years. Thankfully, Barney was seized by inspectors after several warnings to that man and was put into the care of people who were happy to provide him with the care he needed. Apparently fed a diet of chocolate and chips, he ballooned to a depressing 154 pounds, which is double the advised figure for dogs like him. Eventually able to decrease his size to just 56 pounds, Barney would be unrecognizable to those who knew him before despite his telltale spots. 10. The mystery fat flying dog. The only unidentified dog on this list, the world would have likely never known this mystery dog existed if it weren't for a tweet sent out by a person named Madeline Sweet. Photographed by her while making its way through an airport on wheels, the animal flew alongside a plane's worth of passengers, which would be a surprising sight to see. A photo that ended up being retweeted thousands of times, Madeline was questioned about the situation and shed some light on things. According to her, the dog traveled in first class alongside someone we presume is its companion, and despite having a seat bought for it, spent the trip at the person's feet. Due to the fact that the identity of the doggy and its travel partner is unknown, there is no way to know what has happened to it since, but we sincerely hope it was en route to a happier life. 9. Fat Vincent, the depressed Dachshund. The second of 3 Dachshunds that made this list. We're starting to suspect that these animals may be the breed that is most capable of becoming much larger than they should. Aptly named Fat Vincent, it almost seems like the people who cared for him at the time were happy to see him gorge himself and become alarmingly large. Described as unhealthy and depressed, he came to live at a country animal shelter after the person he once lived with passed away. Barely able to walk due to his size, his back tipped due to the stress his weight put on it, and he suffered from high cholesterol. However, we're happy to be able to report that with the help of the shelter, a vet and his new caregiver, Melissa Anderson, he is back on his feet and doing great. 8. Samson, the 187-pound Labrador. When you are the focus of an article questioning if you are Australia's most obese pet, there can't be any question left if you have a big problem. At one time clocking in at 85 kilograms, or 187 pounds, when attempts to help him shed the weight began, he was too big to even be exercised. Also cursed with bloodshot eyes that bulged out of his head due to high blood pressure and fatty tissue around his head, Samson's life seems to have been a complete struggle. An animal that we can't find any reliable updates on. We can't tell you that he is back up on his feet and doing well, unfortunately. Still, we'd like to believe that he has improved greatly considering his quest to reduce his size began 5 years ago. 7. Hooch, the 294-pound Rottweiler. Rottweilers are a breed that some people find scary, but the only frightening thing about Hooch is how huge he was allowed to become. Said to have weighed almost 21 stone at one point, or 294 pounds, he was 7 years old at that time. Losing a third of his size, nearly 100 pounds, by the time he turned 11, he was still big enough that he was able to take part in the Pet Fit Club. When you are a dog that drops that many pounds from your frame and you still qualify for a program for obese animals, it is abundantly clear that being called fat is an understatement. According to his companion, Leslie McCormack, at one time he would eat 5 tins of dog food a day, which can only be called insane, but has since been able to slowly decrease that to a single tin. On a complete side note, you just know that the caregiver included in the photo of Hooch here has to be totally embarrassed that it was the photo of the pair that the media ran with. 6. Buddy, the 180-pound Australian Shepherd. Most of the dogs on this list have had their stories updated since their massive size first brought them to the world's attention, and Buddy the Border Collie is no different. However, the fact that he has lost 100 pounds since first coming to prominence is a feat that very few dogs will ever know. A dog that was once 180 pounds of fat, fur and flesh, the fact that more than half of the body he once possessed has disappeared is something worth celebrating. Adopted by Angela Hand and Samantha Gagnon, the pair put him on a strict diet and he began to have fun romping around with some puppy pals, which made a huge difference in his life. That is especially clear when you find out his new loved ones have revealed that the dog's tongue would turn purple after 4 or 5 steps when they first brought him into his new home. 5. Millie, the 74-pound Cocker Spaniel. One of many obese animals that were entered by its owner into the Pet Fit Club in the UK. The program put on by the People's Dispensary for Sick Animals was meant to help animals in need. While another dog, an overweight rabbit and even an obese rat by the name of Spider were also entered into the competition, it was Millie the Cocker Spaniel that instantly gained our attention. When placed on scales they read 74 pounds at his peak. which is twice the size she should have been. We can only hope that she has bounced back since. Unfortunately, there don't seem to be any significant updates on her weight online, but the fact that her caregiver was concerned enough to join the program gives us hope that she is doing much better. 4. Kale Chips, the 85-pound beagle. We associate the eating of leafy greens with a healthier lifestyle, so the fact that a beagle by the name of Kale Chips managed to become so overweight feels odd, to say the least. Of course, it makes a little bit more sense when you find out the care staff that worked to help him adopt a robust lifestyle gave him that new name when they began to take care of him. At one time 85 pounds of canine, his previous companions voluntarily surrendered him to the Chicago Animal Care and Control in hopes that he could become healthier. Eventually able to walk a half-mile each day, the animal dropped 23 pounds before it was decided that he was ready to be adopted by the right family who could properly care for him. 3. Bear, the 147-pound Doberman. A Texas Doberman pinscher by the name of Bear was horribly neglected by his companions to the point that he managed to become quite obese. In fact, at one point he weighed in at a startling 147 pounds. Which was more than double the target weight his breed should shoot for, which is 70 pounds. You'd think all of that extra weight would be hindrance enough for him, but the people who were supposed to care for him had also failed to keep his nails trim, which hugely multiplied his difficulties. Rescued by the Lone Star Doberman Rescue, the combination of a new diet and regular activity has made it possible for him to lose the weight that brought him to our attention and serve as an inspiration for others. 2. Belina, the 80-pound mutt. Evidently something of a local celebrity around the Brazilian city where he lives, Belina lived for an extended time nearby a well-trafficked gas station. Fed by the many customers who frequented the establishment, his constant access to food, which he gorged himself on, led to him weighing a hefty 80 pounds and developing breathing issues. Nearly immobile, he became a talking point in the area until an animal rescuer heard about this troubled pooch and stepped in. After he was brought to the Animal Protection Organization, he was given hefty servings of affection instead of food, and as of the last update had dropped 30 pounds. Considering that the vets that nursed him back to health felt that he didn't have much time left to live if someone hadn't intervened, this is the happiest result possible. 1. Abby, the 77-pound Dachshund. A 5-year-old standard Dachshund who weighed in at 70 pounds when he came to the world's attention, he took roly-poly to an all-new level. A breed whose target weight should be around 32 pounds at the most, Abby was tipping the scales at 77 pounds, which is more than double. Numbers aside, however, it was his mammoth size for the type of dog he is that really made him stand out among the fattest doggies in the world. Taken in for blood work, his vets were shocked to see that the tests came back as normal, which is an absolute blessing considering how much his excess weight could have damaged his body. Eventually able to drop 50 pounds from his frame with the help of his new caregivers, he looks very little like he once did, thankfully.